Hi guys, this is Lee. Welcome to Nursery, a podcast from Ohio's creative voice. If you like the music on this podcast, check out www.thirdclass.net. That's worldwideweb.thirdclass.network. And if you like the comedy on this podcast, check out www.bullskit.com. That's worldwideweb.bullskit.communications. On with the show, my friends.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
But okay, so Icarus flu you were mentioning. I think you know this, but when you find out who he is, you won't care.
That's what everyone. That's what everyone says.
It's
just like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just some dude that I went to school with, and and you'll be like, huh? No, I don't know who you are. In fact, I'm not a fan of the music anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
I highly doubt that.
No, I like the music a lot. Yeah, well, actually, last night I was with College and KDM, did 2 podcasts with them too. It's so easy.
I love them.
Just start recording and I record.
Colin's my big brother. That's what we named him.
That's
his
cool.
little sister.
He seems like a big brother. Yeah.
He used to be a geology major at YSU.
Oh yeah, did he make some videos or something? Or,
He did the geology rap because of my dad's class.
My sister-in-law knew that too. She may have been in that class and seen that. So there's some cool Ohio connections.
So I think that was like 97 or 98. So I was either like 6 or 7.
Right.
So that's when I started knowing him, and I was like, ever since then, it's like always go over to the
Well, that's pretty
house.
good. I mean, yeah, he's got to be a big brother by now. That goes way back. Well, okay, tell people who, if they're just stumbling on this and they're like, who is this? Who are you? What is this? Just tell them who you are, what you do.
My name is Crystal Beiersdorfer. I am currently a student at YSU. I'm dual majoring in photography and mathematics. And then I'm also a tribe member of the belly dancing tribe in Youngstown called the Tribe of Eos.
Yeah, and one of the things we want to do at the top of this thing is mention, because this might come out at a decent, or I don't know words. A good time. It'll come out at an opportune time.
It's early and it's cold.
Yeah. It'll come out at an opportune time to time out with a cool show that's happening. I'm allowed to mention that?
Yeah,
correct?
we can totally talk about this.
April 18th, Susie's Dogs and Drafts, downtown Youngstown on Phelps. There's going to be this sweet fundraiser to raise money to send your group, Tribe of Eos, to California.
Right, we're going to Tribal Fest in May. Mm-hmm. So what Tribal Fest is I'm going to butcher the name of the city, but Sebastopol.
Okay.
California, which is in Napa Valley area. Mm-hmm. What they do is every single year, thousands of belly dancers from around the world come to this tiny little hippie town, and we take workshops from people who are considered the greats in our field. And then there's, of course, like belly dancing showcases at night. Mm-hmm. So this is, there's actually more than 2, but the 2 main belly dancing styles that people are aware of is primarily cabaret, that's the one where you see all the coins and all the glitter, and that's when you think of like the woman with like the scarf around her face and that kind of stuff. And then the style that we do probably a little bit more is tribal.
Cool.
And so that's more of what you've probably seen us, if you've ever seen us perform, is more of a tribal fusion. Mm-hmm. So what fusion means is that we're taking tribal, but we're taking all other forms of dance. That's like cool. When I do solos, I usually add a little bit of crunk, and then also with some more tribal-based stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I like that. Well, I'm not very good at dancing, but I do know, music connects a lot of people in this Ohio area. And if you're somebody listeners who just stumbles on, it's a non-sequential podcast. You can just go through, just pick and choose, treat it like a sampler. You're still going to notice. You're going to be like, that person knows this person that knows this person knows that person. That's just how Ohio is. It's not even just me, man. I'm a social person, but this is what it is, man. I play the show with Third Class and our buddies the Zoo, who I've probably talked about 1,000 times. Because they're cool, and it's all good. And then the Tribe of Eos played in these intermissions between sets on Halloween, and it was just the coolest idea because it was like them dancing rock and roll, and you were saying it was kind of fun. It was like weird to you because you were like, oh god, I'm gonna knock over a beer bottle. I did. You're like, yeah, people were like, it's hard to like get dance.
I knocked over a local filmmaker's beer.
Right.
Yeah.
So like to put dance into the mix there, that's so much harder than just setting up up and being stationary with a guitar, you got to figure out the dynamic and be like, we're going to dance here, spread the crowd out this way, we got to have space to do this. And I think it was managed very well, but I know what you meant. You just felt like a confidence thing. You were like, are we okay? Are we going to...
We also did something different that we're starting to try, this whole idea of like dancing in the crowd.
Yes, exactly.
And kind of involving them a little bit more. I think the first time I did that was Dr. Goo, Brandon Martin.
Yeah.
He had his CD release at Susie's in...
Oh, cool.
Was that in October? In October. And I did a solo for that. And that's when I did that. Like, it was funny because it wasn't even planned. The dance was technically improv. So I was improving, and all of a sudden I was just like, let's just go this way. And I just went towards the bar. And after that, I think Jennifer was kind of talking about it prior to. Jennifer Neal is our tribe leader, and she's also the person in charge of Eos Whole Fitness, which is in the Calvin Center. So she was kind of thinking about it prior to, and then I think after that we were definitely like, yep, this is what we want to start doing.
Oh, cool. So after you just kind of did it, like, just a little bit, like, on a whim, they were like, I see that it works
like,
now, let's do it. Yeah. So do you mean it works in that the people reacting to you were cool with it?
I think...
Because this is Ohio,
crowd,
you know? It's
in
hard.
that crowd they were.
Yeah.
When Halloween, I don't think people really understood. Plus Halloween was a lot more crowded, so that was the other issue.
More stragglers that weren't. Like, it's not that... I mean, I know you hear a lot of people say you got to be surrounded by artists, you got to be surrounded by this and that, but obviously we want just anyone we can at shows. So I encourage you, if you're going and interacting with the crowd, I know there's probably like a guy that's like uptight like me who's like, I don't dance, I don't whatever, but like it's probably
don't
nice for
that,
you.
But that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people's thing is that they can dance comedically and be silly, but they can't do what you do and just express and be serious sometimes too. Like, I think you probably find a line, I think most dancers do, where you can not take it seriously, but be kind of dramatic if you'd like to be and stuff, or be silly, or be whatever, emotionally, just all kinds of variations. But I think a lot of people only, like, put it in this one little box, and they're like, well, I can be zany and silly sometimes, but I'm not going to dance, and that's me. That
emotion.
A lot of guys in Youngstown holding their beer, like, what, is she coming towards me? I don't want to dance, But I encourage you.
I'm going to dance towards you now.
Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. But I encourage you that, even regardless of if they dance or not, you're loosening the crowd up. It's a good, that's the point. It's not so much that, it's like they will enjoy it if you just interact. Being interactive is half the thing for any art, and that's good. But also, I guess I kind of think that dancing overall in Youngstown is just good because it's Ohio. There's just a lot of, like, working class people who might not expect it, so it's a fun surprise when it happens, I notice more and more visual art and dance becoming prominent in this area. And
I know, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because a lot of times I think everybody was like, I'm in a band, and I love music, and there's a lot of really great bands that I'm a real, genuine fan of, and I listen to around here, including Icarus Flu, Human Petting Zoo, The Zoo, all those guys. Tons more that I could go on and on about, but I don't know, the visual arts are just thriving right now, it seems, and that's new to me, I think. I think it's always been there, but it seems like a lot of my new acquaintances and friends are people that are like, they're painters.
No, I think it is,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, there used to be a lot of areas where students couldn't really show work, and that was one of the issues in terms of YSU. Like, we don't really have places. There's a student gallery downstairs all the way in the basement that no one really knows about, that students can do whatever the F they want. And then, because I swear a lot, and I was like,
no,
I hope he's okay with this. And then, there's down in, like, Martini Brothers now.
Right.
And then...
With McGilvery?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I went to a couple shows there. Heather Sina's installation stuff.
That was for her JPR, so...
Yeah. And I don't think I saw the recent one, but I saw the one that had, like, women's faces a while back. Is that the one you're referring to? It had, like, women's faces and, like, pink ribbon and stuff. It was a while back now.
Yeah, I think so.
But it was good. It was awesome.
So, yeah. And then... There's a couple other areas where students are able to show. Bliss Gallery in Bliss Hall, and then also, like, our senior projects are in McDonough, which is awesome. Like, I did that last semester.
See, that's good. I hope that McDonough is awesome, but I do hope that I see it going further and further out from the schools. Like, one of the biggest places to utilize are like places like Friends Roastery in Salem, or Friends Specialty Youngstown, or Generations Coffee Columbiana, because be like, hang your stuff up or put this
I've
here.
never been there yet.
They're cool. And like, I think just coffee shops.
Well, Pressed,
Yeah.
the one that just
And
opened,
Pressed, yeah.
they sent
they're
a
gonna-
request to the photo department asking if we had
Good,
photographs.
Good. See,
So-
that's what's important is because I know that music, a lot of the stuff that people think is just academic needs to be theatrically presented, and I know it's hard to do.
I'm a culprit of this, but go ahead.
No. Well, I think visual art's easier because you just look. But I was gonna get onto like other things that are even harder to present, like poetry and stuff like that. Like that stuff, it's always like this little typed up sheet that says poetry reading in plain font and no flyer.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true,
and
yeah.
they're like, it's happening in this thing in the basement, like you say, it's happening here. And it's not a bad place, but my brother Jack worked briefly at the Wick Poetry Center at Kent, and he was a breath of fresh air in that department because he made a flyer because he's in a band with me, and he's like, hey, let's make a colorful flyer. I'm gonna go down to like the coffee shop and post it. How's that sound? And they were like, that's cool, I like it. And like, I'm not saying he thought of it, but he had the mindset of, I'm gonna put it on a telephone pole. I'm gonna go outside the campus. Let's get some people here. It's not just extra credit for a student to attend the poetry reading. This is a famous author. This should be treated like a rock show. You know what I mean? It's just poetry, but go on. You're a culprit of academically like promoting.
Well, yeah, and then also like just in terms of my art in general, it's pretty theatric.
Yeah.
Like I
No,
accidentally
that's good,
posted a part. Like I accidentally posted a part of my stop motion. I think you saw that. On
Yeah,
my
that's
Instagram.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
I like deleted it afterwards because I was like, I didn't mean to do that. I did not mean to post that on.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's currently what I'm working on. And so like that kind of stuff. Like I know the dance and theater because I'm a huge theater nerd. And that kind of stuff is what I kind of use in my artwork. Yeah, and I'm definitely kind of veering away from photography.
Oh, okay.
So-
cool. Well, that's good. I mean, I think theatrically
love photography,
inclining.
but-
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you do, and you seem like a visual arts person through and through. But theatrically inclining any of the art that you might do, whatever it is, that I think that's the right idea. Because if you just act like it's stuffy and just for egghead whatever people, like I get that you want artists there and you want intelligent people there, but I'm not going to be like someone who doesn't include like. You've made it when you got someone there who's like a football coach, or
Right.
like somebody who's like, I work at the steel mill and I came to see. That's who you want. Other artists, they make you feel good, but I'd love
That's
to
the only
see
criticism I have about art is, I mean, I love art, but I think sometimes people we've gotten to such a phase where people can just say they're an artist, and they are. And we've gotten to such a phase where I had the opportunity to go to Art Basel in December, and there was a few pieces there that the price for them was more than I have ever seen.
Wow.
And the fact of the matter is, like, I was looking at these pieces, and the one that is forever going to be burned into my brain as ridiculous is it was basically a pile of clay with candy wrappers on it and a stick coming out of it. And they wanted like $35,000 for this. And I was
Wow.
just like, this is the part where you start getting to where art isn't about the feeling and the emotion. You get more about the commerce of it. And I think that because of that stuff, people who aren't studying it or interested in this stuff, they get kind of discouraged. And they don't understand it. And I get a lot of friends, like, they'll see my stuff and they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what it is to get. Because to me, I've changed my definition of art. Art to me, there's two experiences. You have the experience between the artist when they're creating it and the piece. And you also have the experience between the viewer and... So I can determine that what I'm making is art because of my experience, but at the same time, someone who doesn't have an experience with what I'm doing could say that it's not art. Do you know what I mean? So it's like this weird push and pull.
Yeah, you're right. And I had David Prokrovnik on here, and he proposed that culture study was the future. That like people would look at art and they'd have to have a backstory of the culture before enjoying it. And I think he had a point in that it wasn't so much looking at it and thinking commerce, but it was looking at it and thinking this came from this type of person and from this region of whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's gonna like rule art, but I think he had a point in that.
No.
Like we'll be like, okay, so Crystal did this with her life. This is what the art that culminated from it. Does that make sense? And maybe they'd be like, yeah, that I see it now. And maybe that would, if you tell them their story via a podcast, via like things like these other little branches that come through, that come to like the main art, with mine being music. Like I always think if you put out more arms and put out more feelers, that people are more likely to pick a thread and follow it to a bunch of sticks, to follow it down. I'm not saying that makes it better, but maybe, like you said, if it makes them understand more, even if they don't like it, then at least they went the whole way through it and said, oh, okay, I made the whole journey, I still don't like it, or now I get it, and it means something to me now. Because what else is art? You don't really want to hear the story behind that far. You just want to hear, like, well, I know that this person made it, and I see what they're like, and I'll draw my conclusion from there. It's like you give them a little bit of history, maybe. But the commerce thing's another.
It's a whole different aspect of art. Like, I was just thinking of an example. Like Jackson Pollock. I mean, he's a known alcoholic.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you kind of look at his artwork, to me, that makes sense in terms of that. My least favorite person in the whole wide world, Jeff Koons. I just don't appreciate him because he was a businessman, and then he's a different type of artist. He's the conceptual, strictly brain artist, and then he pays an artisan to make his work. Art to me has to have that physical tack. You have to have the actual like mending of it. So that's the part where I don't agree with what he does. And he's making like, how much was the piece at Art Basel? I think it was like 2.5 million, 3.
Wow.
It was like the only people that could afford it are like wealthy people or incredibly wealthy museums. But like the pieces that he makes are they're just pop culture icons.
Well then, so does that mean that you're saying that, like, I heard this example, I heard like that poet, Gary Snyder? Like, he's one of the dudes that's not really Beat Generation, but he's the Allen Ginsberg buddy type guy, and he writes nature poetry. It's really good. But I heard him once described very recently, within the last 5-6 years, at the New York Public Library doing a podcast that he probably didn't know what a podcast was, and was just talking. But he was lecturing that East Coast poetry is craft and West Coast is more feeling. And he wasn't really saying, he was saying kind of what you're saying, like, he wasn't saying that the East Coast art was bad. He was saying it's just as good, but he was just saying, for the benefit of the artists involved, please come at it more with your heart than building like a patent to, like, this is my design. I'm gonna, I made this, and it's gonna cost this, and I have the foresight to keep these rights, and that's cool. Watch out for yourself, but like, I think he was just saying, he's like crafting and like spinning over and over in a way that's intentional, rather than just waiting and grabbing the stuff out of the air. Was his argument. He was like, I think West Coast California people that came out of the Beat Generation oftentimes would sit and wait and kind of have a spider web up, waiting to catch the random things in the air. And he's like, whereas the New York people would be like, I'm writing a poem now, here I go, that kind of thing. I'm not at all subscribing to either, but it sounds like you're almost more concerned for the artist than the viewer. Like, you're like, don't make it like that. Be like this when you make art. Yeah, well, I think because like in art history, if you look back, like it was when it when it first started, way back in cave drawings, it was more of a form of like, I mean, it was a form of communication. Yeah. But it was also a form of like feeling. Yeah. And then I think it kind of got through that. I mean, I'm not saying that. Maybe I am. I'm not trying to say that I'm like against this whole like helpers. Because a lot of big artists have helpers. Like Andy Warhol in the end of his career had many helpers. Sure. But I guess the part that this sounds conceited, but I guess the part that bothers me about Jeff Koons specifically is the fact that he never actually created a single piece of artwork by himself with his hands. A lot of other artists, Ai Weiwei, the guy that I worked for this summer, Jose Alvarez, Dopa, Andy Warhol, obviously, like they started out doing their own work and like working for what they want. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to just like, he was a businessman, already quite wealthy. I think he was married to a porn star. I don't remember exactly. And then just decided that he wanted to start making art. That's interesting. Like Damien Hirst, even, he was making his own artwork prior to. And now he's a huge person too. Okay. His pieces were ridiculously priced. And I know what you're saying. As they get bigger, sometimes they're like, you need it because you need to start producing more. Like it starts becoming more of a factory idea. But it can get away from you. I'm sure it can. I've heard movie directors say the same. There's real big ones that people are making Star Wars right now. They just have so many people. And then there's other people which is awesome. Which will be great. But then there's smaller guys who, obviously a lot of them started by themselves, but the smaller guys that stay small just to know, like, I don't think they could predict their fate, but sometimes they're closer to their work. And again, it's not about the end result. It's just about, like, hopefully they stay connected when they have all those helpers. I don't think anyone thinks J.J. Abrams isn't staying connected.
Right.
He obviously is passionate. But it's just so weird to think that people can very easily, I'm sure lots of directors have like phoned it in before and still come out with a good product, but for them the experience wasn't a connection. And maybe that they lost something. You know, maybe the viewer didn't, but they did. But so then we kind of covered what we think about, like what we should expand as far as art in Ohio. But what do you think? What's your just straight up opinion of Ohio? Like, do you like it? Do you hate it? What do you think of it?
My dad pretty much phrases this well. He goes, Ohio's great, but the people suck. Mm-hmm. I think I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, in the summers, we used to go down to Houston, Texas. My dad used to work for NASA. By this time, they wanted to have people living on Mars, so my dad was in charge of making the soil, or helping build the soil, like the minerals and all that in it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's actually how we met the amazing Randy. But
oh yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel. Like I like the location. We're so close to New York. It's 8 hours away roughly, and then Cleveland and Pittsburgh. In terms of music, like my sister's a huge metalhead, ridiculously huge metalhead, and then I'm more into like punk and like indie rock and that kind of stuff usually.
Stupid dance system.
I just think that we're very tribal around here in terms of like, did you go to my high school or did you go to my church? I was homeschooled until 8th grade. So when I went to high school, it was literally like deer in the headlights. I was not used to any of this. And I went to a smaller school because we went to open enrollment.
Okay.
So I think my graduation class was like 70 kids.
Oh, cool.
7.
I mean, it
didn't even
sounds cool, but I don't know if you liked it.
I went to McDonald.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Sometimes people get excited because they know they get more one-on-one time with their teacher and stuff, but I'm sure you felt like you were just straight up being scrutinized or in the spotlight. You're like, there's all these people, I know every single thing about every single one after, or did you stay away that well that you didn't know them?
Well, it's a small school, so it was everyone basically went with each other were with each other since preschool or kindergarten.
Oh,
predominantly.
So you were, okay.
So Rochelle and I come in 8th, I have a twin sister, Rochelle.
Okay.
Rochelle and I came in, like 8th grade, and it was just like, what's going on?
Oh,
and we're like
the
weird girls, the ones with like the weird colored hair and all this stuff, and like instantly, no, because I didn't do sports. I really wasn't part of any groups. I became a part of the math group, and then I did a little bit of drama there, but that was about it. And other than that, we stayed as far away. Like as soon as school was done, we were out.
Okay, I gave your peers too much credit when I was saying that. I was like, yeah, isn't that how it works? Because I'm so far gone from high school. I'm like, yeah, you were in a small group. They probably ended up having to interact with you and ended up.
Well, they had
to.
To. I mean, they'd have to interact with you.
But they're kids,
like,
so they don't have to warm up to you because they're brats. yeah.
Plus, before that, Rochelle and I primarily we hung out with professors at YSU because of my parents, or we'd go to Las Vegas and hang out with Penn and Teller because my dad's friends with Penn.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. So, or other people that are more considered intellectual, in terms of overall. And
yeah.
So I think we were kind of used to that mentality. And then we go to this small, tiny school where people don't know if they really want to act gangster, like city, or if they want to act country. And it was just weird mix.
It is weird. There's good things
but
about
the teachers
both,
were fantastic. I will say
Okay.
that we had some really good teachers. I had one math teacher. She'd have it on her phone every single time I'd pass her class. She would start playing Super Freak because I loved trigonometry so much. Like that's one of my favorite classes ever. And I could instantly change something from Cartesian plane to polar plane. And she was just like, "This is creepy."
She played that and she meant that in a context
She
like
did.
you're good at
math.
And then the other kids were like, yeah, because you're a freak. No, I'm just kidding. No, just kidding.
The moments that you keep, the moments while I hold you weak. Hold me tight, kiss my cheek. I love you, I am a freak. I don't know the reason. I know this, I love you. It's the thing
so you have something where you say you went to Las Vegas Penn and Teller, and then that connects you somehow to
Met the Amazing Randy.
Okay,
And then we've also met the Bad Astronomer.
Okay, and the Amazing
Richard
Randy.
Dawkins.
Tell people who that is.
Okay,
just
so
real-
he's had such an influence on pop culture. It's
Yes,
amazing.
yeah.
The Amazing Randy, from my knowledge, he's the only surviving magician who has done every single one of Houdini's acts.
Okay.
He also, if you remember, I think it started in the 70s when Alice Cooper started doing the beheadings on stage. That's Randy's trick. And in the 70s or 80s, I don't exactly remember when that was. This is before I was born. He was actually the magician or the person on stage doing it. They actually have the mock-up in their house.
Oh, cool.
Like the actual fake head. It's pretty
Wow.
awesome. And then because of that, he's also the person that brought Penn and Teller together.
Okay.
Penn and Teller were in a magic group with another magician beforehand called the Asparagus Society. And then because of that, from my knowledge, James Randi was just like, you two should do your own thing, and they did, and then became huge successes now. I haven't seen Penn in like 10 years though, so I'm
Sure.
not quite sure.
Sure.
And then also he's the person that gave Chris Angel the idea of doing Mind Freaks.
Okay. And then that connection to Richard Dawkins is what?
I think it's just because the Amazing Randy is known as like the god or the father of skepticism.
Okay, so it was just a huge all.
Yeah, because they have a thing called the Amazing Meeting, which
Okay.
happens every July in Las Vegas. So
Okay. So then that connected you with that, and you said that you become buddies with all these people through those.
right, well, it's more like acquaintances or meeting
Acquaintances,
them. Yeah,
sure. And then that kind of connected because you were saying then when. Once in a while, I ask people about their religion on here. A lot of people from Ohio that I know that are artists tend to lean towards no definition or atheist or agnostic. And so, what do you say about that then?
Well, my dad's a hardcore atheist.
Okay.
He used to be a lot worse, but he's not as bad in terms of like. Penn has this thing where he likes to call Christians Christards. I'm totally against that. I find that incredibly rude. So
Sure.
my dad used to be towards that, but now he's more towards like Randy. Randy's an atheist, but Randy's very polite about it. I don't know, because my mom's a universal. I was thinking about this question. I've been listening to every single one. Like I have a list of like my favorite songs.
Oh yeah.
Because I couldn't pick. I was like, damn, this is like, so hard.
Oh, your favorite song from the island? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
See every single one. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm kind of have to go with kind of what Edwina said about the fact that she's like nothing. Because I believe in terms of like dancing, it's made a lot more sense to me in terms of like the idea of like the chakra system. And like kind of when you dance, you kind of expose like your heart chakra and to kind of, and I feel like that definitely changes how you are in terms of movement. I also believe that when you walk into a room, you can kind of feel people's energy. But in terms of like heaven, hell, and all that, I don't.
Okay, so you're kind of saying, I'm just checking this. Okay, so you're kind of saying you want to show and not tell people what your spiritual personality is, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I used to consider myself a pantheist, and then I realized that it was something completely. Richard Dawkins defined it wrong. He said basically that it was kind of like, well, the way that he worded it, I thought it was something else. I guess I should say.
Okay.
He said that it was something more along the lines of like, you're not kind of closer between like it's like, excuse me, the difference or the little median between atheism and agnostic.
Okay.
Is kind of how he worded it.
Oh, neat.
And
Okay.
but it's more an idea of like transcendentalism and like Emerson and like the idea of like nature. So I guess I do kind of have. I've had like spiritual things in nature, but I think that that's more of a mental.
Yeah.
As opposed to an actual physical like
Oh,
being.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it seems like who hasn't felt a little bit spiritually connected with nature, whether they admit it or not. But to take that into defining it as your
like
religion, that is hard to just say you're just
like their
that.
symbol is like the spiral, like that golden mean
Oh, cool.
is like that religion's.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, then.
And they believe more in a god and like a singular as well. So I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I guess that's hard to subscribe to for sure. And I know I've gotten a lot of really nice. I mean, obviously, like artists in a small town in the Midwest like to keep it a little bit looser because they know they came from a little bit strict mentality of the culture that preceded them, even if it wasn't your personal family. But I do like. So in that way, a lot of the guests have been similar, but in another way, what they land on later down the line has been different. Like they like to come at it with like you and name a couple things that they think are okay, but like I think college said for a long time Taoism was his
Yeah,
thing,
I
and that's
remember
an easy thing to like. That's an easy thing, and I know my brother did that, and my friend Peppy, for the longest time, definitely identified with Buddhists, and then I think finally, near the end of like maybe more than 10-year run of feeling that way, he kind of let it kind of be sporadic and let it go, and it was all good. And but I do know that almost everybody I know, if they walk into what looks to be an old style church, or if they walk into an area of Ohio that looks old fashioned, they do tense up a bit because they're scared of being judged. And I don't think they're scared of like going to hell, but they're definitely like, is this place cool? Are they gonna hate me? Are they gonna, maybe how you felt going to high school? Like they're just like, am I?
See, I've never had that problem because I've been told like I've had to go to church. I mean, the Unitarian Universalist, that's completely different.
But people don't know
like
that.
in California, my uncle, I'd have to go to his church. It's the weirdest experience in the world because you just literally, I'm just like sitting there like I don't believe in any of this, but I'm here just like watching you preach.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't even think, maybe I'm painting too broad a picture of everybody, but I don't even think that people around here, if they go to like a Christian church, are scared that they're like, "Ooh, I don't believe this." Are they gonna hate? I think that they're just like, "Yeah, are they judging me? Do they hate me?" And like, I don't think that's as much the case, but it just feels like it's gonna be. It feels like people are gonna be struck.
No, I mean it's awkward. Like I
Yeah.
definitely think there's like a weird energy around there, like a feeling.
And it's not even anything that's that bad, but I think that from most people, I know you're quite a bit younger than me, but I think most people's upbringing in this area just kind of makes them a little bit on guard to that stuff, and most of it's just
I can see
harmless.
that, yeah.
But I just think that they think like if they come in there like my hair has dyed, are they going to think I'm weird? And 80% of the time they don't think anything. They're in their own world. They're in their head.
Personally, I don't think I've never had a problem with that because whenever I go to these things, it's usually my dad's there, and I'm like everyone's
there
just
you go.
looking for
Yeah,
my
that's-
dad because he's crazy long hair, and this weird wizard beard.
Right. Well, then there you go.
We're good.
That's different. Yeah. But no. But I don't mean that anyone's expressed being afraid or anything.
No, but I know what you mean, like this uncomfortable kind of
slight
feeling,
awkwardness.
Yeah.
But-
Well, because I think around here people are. I think it depends on like the community, but because I haven't like some people in our community I think have this, but mostly like people that don't understand, they're a little bit judgmental, or like and judgment just comes from fear, so they're just a little or not knowing.
Just
so I
a
think
little
that's,
bit.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the
And
worry.
it can be diffused in like a minute, and it doesn't even matter. But okay, so you say at least nature has a huge part for you. It's not that you have to.
No, I mean technically we were born in California, so I think that has a huge impact. Whenever we go there, we always go. My grandparents own a cabin in the Sierras, so we usually hang out there.
Oh, cool! I've never been to California. I've been Washington, Oregon. I never made it down. I need to go.
It's amazing.
But okay, so you said you spent a lot of time on this. So what song would you take on?
I don't know. Can I get my list?
Yeah.
Get my list.
So people who, if you guys are stumbling on just this episode, this is the question that I might not always ask it, but it's been my thing lately. And I'll say, hey, if you were on an island and you had a little cassette player and you had one song you could play, stop whenever you want, what would that song be?
I don't know. This sucks.
And she's heard these podcasts.
I
and so
have.
she has a list.
I have a list. I guess I'm gonna have to. It's because it kind of goes with my mood and how I'm feeling. But there's one song that I always go back to, and I think I like it so much because they play the song, and I love it when artists like have a short silent break, and then they kind of just start like they add bloopers or whatnot. So there's a band. Okay, so Brody Dahl was part of the Distillers, and then they broke up, and she created a band called Spinneret. And there's a song called A Prescription for Mankind. And it's just a really like her voice. She's singing total like alto to low voice and just like grimy guitar. I really like that song a lot.
Okay, and it's by the Spinnerets.
The Spinnerets.
And it's called
A Prescription for Mankind.
For Mankind. Oh, that's cool.
I will send it to you.
Yeah,
'cause
please
it's
do.
Amazing.
I'll listen.
I love when bands do that though, because there's another band that I used to listen to a lot in high school called The Start, and they're all LA punk, kind of glam punk though I would say.
I saw them live.
Really, I have two. I
Yeah.
love them. Amy Echo's amazing.
Yeah.
But every album at the end, they would do like a 3-minute song of her serenading their dog.
Oh, neat.
You know, and you hear him barking. It's like the cutest thing in the world. So I think that was the first time I heard someone ever do that, and ever since then, I really like it when there's like this kind of extra Do you know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
Because it's like you get more of the personality of the artist.
Okay, I was gonna ask you what you meant by that. When you say bloopers, you're saying you like when they leave in that like untrimmed fat on either end of the song or in the middle, or where they're just like conversating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that you say that, because very, very, very like minimally, but on me and Jack and Peppy our last record, we made sure to, like, when we contacted the guy who was mastering it and when we talked to the guys recording it, we were like, please, 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 I know it's not really much, but leave in the little, like, the doors shutting and us saying I'm ready and stuff. Leave in that stuff. And it was like, it's not because we thought, oh, this is going to add so much, but we were like, just make it feel campy. Like, make it feel...
It makes it more personable, and I like that.
Yeah, and I think we're going to go down that road way more if we are lucky enough to do it more. Like, I think it's just neat that you mentioned that, because I would really like to get into stuff where the song quits and there's just some weird noises and there's stuff, and it's not very intentional, but maybe something we picked up after can be inserted, and it doesn't have to be a conversation like this podcast even, but it can be like somebody talking about what the song is doing or something.
Cage the Elephant has a song that does that, where
Do
they're
they
talking
do that?
at the end.
Yeah, and I like it better when they just are talking. I know it's a picky thing to say, but you know when people are like, was that good? Was we a good take? Or is that okay? And like, I like that okay, but it's really cool if someone just cracks something at the end, and it just shows that, as long as it shows their personality, that's all I mean, yeah. Leaving the breathing room, even if there's nothing there but the room sound. It just, you're right, it makes it more personal. Not to go on and on about that, but I just like that we have that in common, that we like that. Okay, so then what do you think
That's such a hard question.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because you follow me on Spotify.
Yeah,
that
you
I'm
listen
like,
to a lot
everything.
of stuff. Yeah.
That's all I do is like when I'm working, I don't listen to music. Even when I'm doing math, it's like just music.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. I'm lucky enough that I work in a warehouse where I put on headphones all day. So
that's how I am. I work in a lab.
Right.
So
I love that, man. I mean, my friend Peppy is so jealous because he works at a restaurant. And he's like, "How are you getting this time in to listen to podcasts and music?" And I was like, "Dude, trust me, I wouldn't even have this time. It's simply just that it works. I go 8 hours of straight, like you probably do with music." And that can get a little crazy.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, the only thing I don't like about it is the fact that you can like see what people are listening.
Yeah.
So like I noticed that you were listening to Pure Love.
Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, so Frank from Pure Love was the lead singer for a band called Gallows.
Okay, no, I
And
didn't
they're
know
a
that.
punk band.
Oh, cool.
And that's actually one of like in high school, like 2000. Did they come to Warped Tour 2007, 2008? I don't remember. And they played there, and I remember that was like the first major like crazy weird punk show I ever really went to. And I remember Frank literally was almost sent to the hospital because he was banging his head with the mic so much that he
Whoa.
cracked it open and there was like blood everywhere. And I remember like getting like he whipped the microphone in such a way that I got it on my face, and I was just like, this is so weird.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were like,
Gallows?
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 No one knew who they were then. And then after that, like within 6 months after that, because they're from the UK, 6 months after that, I think their second album, Great Britain, is what got them really popular. And that got PETA was attacking them because they have a song called Misery, and at the end of it, they had a lot of pigs snorting, and like they found this footage of like pigs in a meat market and like the pain that they're in, and the point that they were doing was showing like this isn't right, but PETA saw it and they took it the other way.
Oh, wow.
And so there was like this whole in UK there was a whole attack on them.
Wow.
And then he left the band. The band sucks now, like at least in my opinion. I'm not a fan anymore, but he left the band, and so he started writing for Pure Love. And if you'll see there's one song where there's a lyric where he's sick and tired of singing about hate, I think is what it says or something. It's their first single. That's him talking about Gallows.
Yeah, okay. So you've given me some good homework assignments. I got to check out Gallows, and you got to send me the song Spinneret.
But she's not doing her solo stuff. Birdie Doll is married to Josh Homme.
To who?
Josh Homme, or Josh Home.
Who's that?
The lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, okay. So you got some education for our listeners. This is good. My friends were yelling at me about they because they know everything about me already, but they were listening to the podcast. So like, dude, you need to get some people that are gonna take you out of your box a bit. They're like, you're talking to all your buddies that you know everything about, and so you're good for this. But when you said punk, I know that one time, not It was a long time ago now. I went with my friend Greg and his sister Laura to Warped Tour, and I was there for all these like the Rocket Summer type. That's just who I am at heart. I'm like, where are the bubblegum?
Well, it's evolved so
bubblegum?
much.
Yeah.
Because we went to
And
one of
it's
the first Warped
different,
Tours when I was like really, really little
It
in
is
Houston.
different. Yeah,
And it was
it's
like Kid Rock.
Oh yeah. And it's different in so many ways. But then I gravitated. I realized I watched the Rocket Summer for like a second. I was like, forget this, man. Like, I might like this better on a recording, but I'm going to the punk bands. Like, I don't even care if I hate their music. I'm going there for that.
Well, that's something about some bands. Like,
Yeah.
some bands sound better recorded in my mind, and some sound.
It's different.
Yeah.
And the Rocket Summer, there's nothing offensive about. I wasn't like, you suck, but I was like, okay, he's not really on the mic. They're kind of just phoning in, whatever. And then I walked over to Under Oath, who I don't really care about, but it was an awesome show.
Right.
Man. I didn't care about one song, but I got over there. Somebody like kicked me in the head. Like somebody fell on somebody else with
Yeah,
one of
I've had
those
that
weird
happen.
like jean jackets with spikes on it.
Yes.
And I was like, this is where I want to be. You know, I don't want to get hurt. Please don't hurt me too bad, but this is where I want to be. This is where the action is.
My sister always jokes because she goes to all these metal concerts, and she jokes that, you know, a lot of the musicians, they have these lyrics that are so profound and so intellectual, but yet all they want is that their audience members do a circle pit. She's like, this makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
they literally, that's all they want.
Really? Yeah, it's a different world sometimes, man. You go to one of our shows, then you go to another show in Youngstown, then you go to a metal show in Cleveland. It's like, everything is so different. So I'm the type of dude that just watches the people's hands. When I go, I'm boring. I'm just like, ooh, look at, you know, and like, but then you go to, I saw Bad Religion at Warped Tour, and I love
good.
watching their fans. They're just good anyways.
They're so
but,
good.
But so I do like them. It's not that I don't, but I watched their fans, and a lot of them were older, and they were so energetic. They were like 50-year-old dudes that probably, you could tell, kind of followed them and were just like at all their shows. And I was like, wow, dude, those guys have more energy than I'll ever hope to have at 50 or anything. So sometimes it's just about, even if I hated Bad Religion, I'd be there. I'd be like, just show me something crazy, because this is kind of so departed from what I do that I kind of want to be well-rounded and see that. Same with Icarus Flume with electronic music. Such a far departure
It's
from
funding favorite
what
stuff.
I do. Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
I really
I'm getting
like
a
it.
kick out of it.
Yeah. Like I do end up listening to lots of crazy electronic
That's
stuff
what
that you
I'm
guys would
starting to
dance
dance
to.
to,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Like,
yeah.
the one band that I think we're all obsessed with is Beats Antique.
Nice. Beats
Which is-
Antique. Okay.
I'll make you a list.
Yeah,
I'll
you
make
gotta-
you a Spotify playlist.
I just like that
Let's
name.
Just do that.
I just like that name.
Yeah, they actually have Belly Dancer,
Cool.
Zoe Jakes, which she's one of the people doing workshops at Tribal Fest. So,
Okay. Beats Antique. And then
and they're an experience when you go to see them play.
okay.
Like obviously she has costumes. Like, I remember she had a huge like elk horn headdress. I don't know how the hell she got that on her head. And then they do video. It's like a whole experience. And when I went to go see them, they were in Mr. Smalls, which is like my favorite venue.
Yeah.
Because it's like an old church, and it's just
Yeah, it's good.
so it's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I
highly
talked
recommend
to
it.
Katie and Timko about Kato 8, and she was talking about how it was such a hard thing to get the live show together. And I was suggesting, not that I
You
know
weren't there,
anything.
were you?
No. It
Okay, 'cause
sounded
I
great.
went.
Yeah, she
It was
talked all about it.
awesome.
Yeah, she talked about how that it was like a main line to like people that would like her genre because of who she was opening for, and that everybody tweeted her like.
It was so funny because
Yeah.
I was so excited, and I literally pushed myself up towards the front, and everyone's like, she's walking on stage, and everyone's like, who is this? I don't know who this is. And I'm like, it's Kato 8, and I'm like the only one. And then after they're done playing, everyone's like noticing that I said something, so they're like coming up and they're like, what's her name again? And they're like trying
It was
trying
all
to
you.
find
You were
her
like,
Twitter.
don't you know who Kato 8 is?
Don't you know who that is?
Yeah.
It was so, and it was that was fun. That was a good
That's
night.
cool. Listeners, if you don't know who we're talking about, just go online and search K808.
There's a royal army in this town. When the river rises, they scratch and claw to bring you down. Cinderella locked out of the ball. The higher up the stairs you go, the more they kill to see you fall. So take my picture off the wall. No, I never thought it
music, and it's from Youngstown. It's from Youngstown. That doesn't, as much as pop music is big today, and indie pop has really made its way through with like some good quality stuff. Just the fact that she's from this area kind of makes it fun and unique to be like, wow, that's coming from Youngstown, because Youngstown has a lot of rock music.
She's amazing
Yeah.
in terms of like editing, and I've never met someone like. Khalid has been doing music for a really long time, but I think when it comes to computer stuff, I feel like Katie Ann is more advanced in that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it's weird because she's more advanced in putting those tracks together, and it just makes you want to. Actually, guys, go listen to. I will have a podcast that interviews Khalid from the Zoo, and I'll have a podcast that interviews Katie from K-8. I don't know what they're titled yet, so just look on the descriptions. But go and go down the rabbit hole and go listen, because it's a good example of Youngstown rock, good example of Youngstown pop that could get you started.
This genre fits her so well.
It does.
Like I loved her stuff before.
Yeah.
When she was doing more like acoustic kind of like, singer with a songstress with a guitar. But I think this just fits her personality, and it fits her.
And it sounds like that was her intention the whole time. I was like, did you go through the transformation and come out this butterfly? And she was like, no, the idea the whole time was pop. She's like, I just kind of changed gears with the same mentality of songwriting and got a little bit more technically involved. She was like, I just became my own producer more and more as I got older. So it was neat to hear that, like, to her, it wasn't so much like, now I'm K-8.
Right.
There is no K-8. It was just like, no, this is the full throttle version of what I've always loved. So that was cool. And she mentioned Spice Girls a lot. And said like she loved Baby Spice. Yeah, me too, actually. Me and my friend.
Scary Spice was my favorite.
Me and my friend Peppy were obsessed. I realized I have a lot of qualities of like, obviously I probably would like them anyway, so don't get me wrong, but I have a lot of qualities of like gay culture because of my friend Peppy, because he's like we just didn't know when we were younger, but he was like Spice Girls, and I was like, this is good, and we like went and saw Spice World and did this, and like my mom got him a Liza Minnelli record for his birthday a couple years ago, and it was just funny because I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, she's pretty good. I what I've heard of her I like, and he was like, but dude, listen. He's like, you don't understand. He's like, there's just some connection between gay men and her, okay? He's like, I'm...
He's right. He's not wrong.
No, he's not. But it was just neat to hear him say, I was supposed to crack that joke to him, but he like beat me to it. He was like, no, listen. He's like, I can't explain it, okay? There's just something there. And I felt that way a little bit about K-8. I was like, okay, somebody who's just... someone who's an assertive female lead in like pop. She doesn't sound like Liza Minnelli. Mm-hmm. It's a different genre, but I think that Pep is a huge fan of her, and I'm not going to analyze why that is. I just know that like he gets me involved. He's usually the one that brings like good like female like pop to my ear with like good female vocals and good voices. He's always the one that's like edging me towards new changes in like my musical taste with that, because unfortunately it's something that wasn't always as big as it is now. Mm-hmm. It's something I know that females were always a huge part of pop culture since the beginning of time, but just I don't know, I just think now like they're like the lead like number one like trend in like pop like right now, and it's just a nice thing to see because there's just so many good female vocals that have so many different variations on what they can do, and it seems like the guys right now are all kind of, there was like that period in the late 90s where they were just like these dopey deep voice rap dudes, and they're fine with these female people accompanying them, and now it seems to have completely flipped. Like now it's like the whole Katy Perry or whatever song and this little spot with the rap, with some dude rapping, and then she takes over, and it feels like it's flipped as far as that goes. And I think that's a cool thing, just probably stuff you'd love to dance to too, just like good indie pop, good like Ellie Goulding, mm-hmm. and like
I remember when she was just making it, and like Nylon Magazine was just trying to push her so mm-hmm. much. And then there was another band called the Plasticines mm-hmm. that is like this French kind of poppy rock band, mm-hmm. and because I think Nylon Magazine has their own record label now, mm-hmm. and they were like pushing them a lot too. That's
cool. And do you ever listen to the Noisettes? Do you know them?
Yeah, I know.
They kind of seem like they walk that line between rock mm-hmm. and pop, and it's like, I think, I don't know, it's just refreshing. It's not like something we haven't seen before, but it's refreshing to have the female lead be like assertive.
And Le Tigre does that too.
Who?
Le Tigre.
Le Tigre.
They're a gay group.
Okay.
I think everyone there is a lesbian, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they rap, do pop, and then kind of punk rock, electronica stuff.
Oh,
They've been
cool.
around forever, though.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out. It's weird. I don't find the time I should to actually delve into good music like I want to. So it's good to have people like you in my life to give me some advice.
Well, my dad, when he was going to get his PhD and his master's in California, he had a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we have a very, very large collection of records.
Mm-hmm.
It's like over 1,000.
Nice.
We can't play them because, of course, we have like a broken needle. But like, so the love of music, I think, came from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad joked, he called my grandmother like right within like 6 months, 8 months of dating my mom, and he goes, guess what we did? And of course my grandmother's like, oh God, they went to Vegas and eloped. No, please don't tell me they got married. But what actually it was, he was like, no, we put our record collection together. Like that was like the big deal for my father,
That's
like
the
the
big
record
news.
collection going together.
That's awesome. Well, okay, then let me ask you. Sorry, let me ask you the last little question. Then, what do you think of? Just give me anything abstract or whatever. When you hear the word nursery, what do you think of? Do you have any like memories where you've heard that word before, or do you only think of the podcast now because you've been brainwashed?
No. I think it more in terms of like a garden nursery, like when
Cool.
you go and like get plants.
I've gotten that answer a
Yeah.
lot from people. It's neat because you go online and if someone tries to Google this podcast, they're going to be met with cribs and mobile and all that stuff. Mobiles. Did I say a British version of cell phone
That's
instead of
fine.
whatever? And of course, your mobile goes. You ever see Love Actually? Sorry. Maybe I'll cut this last part. I'm rambling here. But anyways, can you say to my mom, "Look, Mom, we're on a podcast," and then we'll be done.
Look, Mom, we're on a podcast.
Yeah, Mom, look. Look, I made it. You said I'd be nothing, and now I'm everything. No, I'm just kidding. You never said that. I'm just kidding.
I think both
She's
our
awesome.
mothers are pretty supportive.
Yeah, both our moms are cool. All right? You're cool, Mom. Thanks.
You should put that at the end.
The Tribe of Eos is going to California for Tribal Fest. I'm asking you to come April 18th to celebrate and help them raise funds to do such things. April 18th, Susie's Dogs and Drafts, Phelps Street, downtown Youngstown, Ohio. If you live in the area, 9 p.m. April 18th, come out and see my band Third Class, the band Sexy Pig Divas, the band Icarus Flew, and Bernadette, a wonderful musician. All the musicians, plus dancing and hooping by Infinite Tribe and Joanna from 3rd Street Belly Dance. And Tribe of Eos obviously will be performing there as well, and there is going to be a sweet MC, Chris Yambar. I'm quoting a little bit of what's on the Facebook event, which is titled The Tribe of Eos to Tribal Fest 2015. It's going to be a wild night, and for your information, fundraiser is spelled with F-U-N capitalized, so I believe that means the event is going to be something fun.
This podcast is sponsored by the Orange Avocado Alternative Bakery, specializing in vegan, gluten-free treats made with organic and raw materials.